think this is like, if Michelle's really the only one on here that's worked with me closely, your daily routine is, so last week we talked, everybody that's on this call that heard me talk about this, I believe so much in a one-touch system practice. And one touch means, like right now, if any of you text message me, I'm going to respond to it, I'm going to accomplish it, and it's done, and I delete it. I don't need other stuff to slow me down. So one touch is, how many of you guys wake up in the morning, get your coffee, check your emails, read all 100 emails, then think about it, then go back and email it, right? And you reread it the second time. You've now doubled your whole day. So you have to compress time, and I'm going to talk a lot about that. You have to be faster around time. You have to, everything from touching stuff has to happen once. Like how many of us, the phone rings and you're like, oh God, it's that person, and you go to voicemail. You know, the minute you do that, you have to check the voicemail. You have to listen to your voicemail and check their voicemail and delete their voicemail and call them back and check their voice. You know, it adds on to your time. So I can't tell you guys how important it is, whether you're an employee or a business owner, how much touching things once really, really will help you change your business. Now, what I'm not saying is delete every text message that comes in with no action. You have to have action. So I think it's very important to think about the one touch, meaning touch things once. If you're going to open a text message, read it and act on it. If you're going to touch an email, open it and react on it. So that's a big thing. Second thing was around email, text messages, phones. Once again, just if your phone rings, answer it. If you get a voicemail, check it and act on it. If you don't have the energy to act upon that voicemail that you're about to listen to for the 4th time, don't check your freaking voicemail. You have to get direct to, you have to have action, and all of a sudden your day will start compressing, guys, okay? A couple of things around phone systems, you know, things that are simple. If you're in small business and you have, let's say, 3 employees, or you're the only employer, I can't tell you how much phone systems will really change your life, meaning Google Voice is an easy one. Grasshopper is one I've used. You can get the feel of a huge business through a simple voice system that I heard somebody today called Michelle, and she's like, where are you at? And it's voice, it's Google Voice. It's free, it's easy. You can use it and it makes you sound big, and it really like when you call Google Voice, it'll take you to Michelle, or it'll take you to me, it'll take you to whoever you want, and you think you're calling some giant company. But those systems will help you speed up your daily activity. So that's a recap from last week. This week this is the first question I have. So a lot of these guys are around time, how you do your day, and then talking about systems. So the first question is, how do I be more efficient in leveraging my time? I can tell you guys 100%, your day has to start with a tight calendar and great system. If you don't have a tight calendar, you're not going to achieve anything today. Like, you're going to wake up at 7 or 8 and you're not going to get anything done till 11 if your first appointment's at 11. You have to have a very tight calendar, and it's driven by whatever system you use around your calendar. The biggest thing on this, and you'll hear this over and over and over again, I believe in 3 things: people, products, and processes. If you have great people, you have a great product, and you have a great process, you will accomplish anything you want to do in business. But if you're missing one of those things, you can have an amazing product, an amazing process, and terrible people, and you still end up with crap. That's what you end up with. You got to have people, products, and processes, and I believe people is one of the biggest things that start that. So those 3 things will come into play here in a minute. The second question, how do you structure your day to get as much done as possible? So for me personally, I know a lot of you guys on this call just kind of wing it, right? You like wake up tomorrow and go conquer the world, but it has to start with a plan. And this is also elementary, that you have to start with the night before. So tonight, I will go, when I lay down in bed tonight, I will look at my checklist and my calendar and my reminders for tomorrow. I will put them in order. I will know what I'm going to do the minute I wake up tomorrow. And every day when I wake up, I start with a list I created last night. Okay, it's just your system. You have to have a system, whether it's, I told people last week, it's, I use an iPhone, guys. Like, as elementary it is, the iPhone has a reminder system on it. I use that thing like mad. I don't care if it's pick up my kid. It's on my system. I don't have time in my brain to just remember the things I have to do. It's all part of the system, family, business, leisure, whatever it is, it's the same system. So every day you wake up, you look at what you created last night, and then you go and attack it. And I love like checking it off. So employees that work for myself, Michelle will tell you, I will take my reminder list, which I have for each employee. I will put them in order of what I want done. I will send it to them and be like, tell me when they're all done. Tomorrow, tell me in order when they're done. I want to know what's getting done throughout the day. And I'm not going to micromanage you. I just want you to tell me when they're done. They will pick up the pace around their own activities as long as you're giving them things to accomplish. As far as doing that, so that's the iPhone task. I can tell you guys straight up, the most successful people on this call right now have a jam-packed calendar, and they're most happy when they have a jam-packed calendar. The days that I wake up on and have like 2 things to do, I'm miserable. I'm like looking for stuff to do. I don't get crap done. I feel zero fulfillment in my life. Just pack your days in. Like you always hear, busy people, give something to a busy person, it'll get done. I know that it's just the busier I am, the more effective I am because of my systems and how organized I am. The next question is how to automate and replicate routine activities instead of doing them manually over. Well, first off, I would tell you guys, you have to identify what you do over and over and over again. And you won't do that unless you start tracking what you do with your time. I believe a lot, and I've skipped past this here a couple times. I believe the future of our world is going voice, and everything's going to be voice, and everything's going to be this voice that talks to us through Alexa and these different things. And time, the reason why that is time is going to get, we only have so much time. So the more you can think about your systems being put in, or I'm sorry, your time and what it fits into what system, you have to identify that system first. So the first thing is, do you have 2 things, basic tools or basic tools? Like, do you use a calendar? If you don't use a calendar, you're way behind. You got to use a calendar. Things that are free are basic tools. I tell Michelle, she's going to laugh when I tell you guys this. I tell Michelle and my wife, I have 9,000 passwords that I have to keep up with. I can't keep track of all 9,000 passwords, and I can't do reset password, check the email, and redo my stuff. That's something I used to do a lot as a business owner when I had to do stuff. So what did I do? I found out that I was looking for passwords a lot, and I went online, and guess what I did? I typed in password protector, vault, something, and I started keeping track of them. And so now when Michelle says, what's your password for blank? I say, that should be in your system already. You would save me time and you time if you had a good system around what you're spending time on. Those are basic tools. Advanced tools. If you're on here and you've got calendars and good systems figured out around your business, you have to have advanced tools. Advanced tools are a CRM, customer management tools, software tools, industry-specific tools. And what you have to do is find out, I know we've got real estate people on here, we've got network marketers on here, we've got different people on this call right now, but all of you have industry-specific tools. So the first thing I do anytime I get into an industry-specific business, I research systems within that industry-specific. The most common one for all of you guys is you've got to have a customer service, like you got to have data. And it starts with not on a big chief tablet, it starts with a back office that has notes and phone numbers and emails and history and reminders, and it drives our people, because when you hire that new salesperson, he doesn't know who to call because you've been calling him for 20 years. He has to have a system that knows, call Johnny on the second week of this because they always need that. And here's what they paid last time. That's how you have that's a CRM system. And then the software is next, right? Most of us struggle with softwares. The reason why there's so many software companies is because softwares change businesses. If you're not looking for a new software company every single day in your business, you're not growing. You're very stagnant. You should always be looking for where it's going, right? Do y'all think that Facebook is sitting still wondering what they're going to do tomorrow? Or do you think they're wondering what's going to happen to them? Is it Instagram? Is it TikTok? What's the next platform? Even as huge as they are, Apple. Is Apple sitting around wondering who's going to come up with a phone? Are they wondering what phone are they going to come up with? So you have to constantly be pushing yourself around your industry specific thing, guys. Next one is how to automate my, okay, so that's on the how to automate processes with best software. So around the CRM companies, you have to go in and first, I think the very first thing you have to do is identify the thing that you do a lot and identify where you're weak as a company and where you need to follow up. Like, what do you as a business owner do every day that you don't tell 10 employees? And identify that to how you fix it systematically. The biggest thing I learned when I sold my landscape company is I figured out we had 3,000 customers, and everybody in that database, I knew in my head everything about them. The worst thing for the company that bought the person that bought the business is they had to get everything out of my head into processes. Think of it like that. If you pass away or something happens to you, what are you going to leave to your future generations or the next person if everything's stuck in your head? And that goes to processes, okay? So simplifying things is very important when it comes to your system. A note I put on here, if you guys haven't been, we're creating a new website because I do coaching and training and these things. And one of the things that Michelle gets overrun with is asking for phone calls. So like if you go to briangasperson.com today, you will find that on there, on briangasperson.com, I found if I'm paying Michelle too much money every week and she thinks she's doing too much work, the first thing I want to do is get rid of the work that she has, right, for a cheaper price and be more efficient at it. So if you go to briangasperson.com and you put in, I want to schedule a call with Brian, a system does that for you now. And Michelle never even knows about it until she gets an email and says there's a call book. Pricing gets done, credit card gets done, everything gets done to that system. But the only way I would have known that's important is if I looked at what Michelle's doing today as an employee. Like, what are you doing all day with your time? And I want to fix that through systems, all right? Here's the next one on, this is around sales, guys. So this person says, how do I get my business in front of prospects and close the deal? Two phases in all business, warm market, cold market. I will tell you guys right now, most businesses that I work with skip number one. The number one thing that most salespeople do is they simply don't get in front of people, and we take that for granted. We think salespeople are busy, and we think that we're out selling, and we're really not selling anything. If you're a salesperson, you got 3 meetings, you're not working. You need 25 meetings because 3 are going to cancel. You got to be in front of half of who said they're going to meet you today, and you got to be out there. So we got to get in front of people, number one, because in our head, we're always a lot busier around what we're selling. But the two markets are simple, warm market, cold market. People tend to get these in a different order than they should. Most people we're taught as a society and social that don't bother people, don't mess up people, don't interrupt people's lives. They're your friends. They'll talk about you. They're going to talk, whatever the hell that means. You guys have to go after your warm market first. Like when I started my landscape company, the first thing I did is I called everybody I knew and said, I know somebody's mowing your yard. I'm your guy. That's the easiest market to go after, people that you know and whoever they know. That's the easiest market. Most of us go after the cold market because we are afraid to go to our warm market for some reason, but they're still getting those services, right? Now the cold market, I'm actually going to tell a story. I don't know if she's on here right now, but there's a business owner. Thank God she's not on here. She'll never know I told this story, guys. So she called me earlier. She's going to be on here in a minute. I know she's doing a call right now. And she says to me, I've been in this business, and let's just say that this woman has a database of over 40,000 people. And we speak every week. We speak for the last 6 months. We've talked about how to grow this specific part of her business. She told me tonight she has 42,000 people in her database, and she's never emailed or called one of them around her latest venture in her business. Guys, that's called missing the freaking boat. If you have the opportunity, the database is there for a reason. You've worked 10 years, 5 years, 80 years to collect data. You got to use it. You can't be afraid of it for some reason about a reason. You guys got to get attention through, it's already there. This same person would go out and buy leads to get these leads and pay for it. And she already has 40,000 that she's afraid to hurt feelings about. Listen, guys, you got to utilize the people that are in front of you already. All right. Next one is, what are top 5 suggestions for new business owners to launch their business? So once I know that you guys There's different types of business people on here, but around businesses, hands down, if I were to answer this question, hands down, it's when you're ready, like when you got your uniform on and you're ready, and you need to get ready fast because the game starts, right? You got to get ready. You got to, I wrote in here in bold letters, dive head first, no turning back, completely submerge yourself in whatever you're going to do. Whatever you're going to do, the number one thing I'll tell you is do it, and do it not half-ass. Don't do it kind of. You have to be all the way in. If you are getting half results, it's because you're half in, period. Like you have to get all the way in head first. You have to research it. You got to study. You got to train it. You got to ask questions. You got to do everything 24/7. I'm gonna say for me, it's a couple of things pop out at me is the landscape business. The first time somebody asked me to kill a weed, I'm like, I don't know how to kill a weed. I'm gonna pull it. But I knew at that moment I pulled it, right? And I got paid to pull the weed. It didn't kill it. And I went home and I literally Googled for like 800 hours. I didn't sleep. How to kill weeds, how to kill weeds, how to kill weeds. And I read everything. I asked everyone. I went to the local places. I researched it, and then time and experience teaches you. But if you don't submerge yourself in that, same thing. I did direct sales. What do you think the first thing I did when I got into direct sales, guys? I freaking looked up top 25 direct sales people. I freaking listened to 9 million videos about how to do it. I only want to listen to people that were successful at it, period. I don't want to hear from fakes. I want to know exactly who did it and was successful. And I submerge myself in it, and you got to just like bleed that color, okay? Then you got to act like you're working for free for 6 months. I know nobody wants to hear that. But if you will build two types of businesses, people that build business based off of money and financial decisions, and you'll have people that make the right decision. I ask for any of you that live around this local North Texas area, Marty B, which is a local friend of ours and a restaurant owner, I asked him the other night, Marty, do you feel like you are spending money every time that you turn your head? And he said, Brian, I ask myself the same question, two questions, every time I make a decision. Does it better my customer's experience, and does it better my employee's experience? Period. That's a person that's building for a business long-term and not because they made $14 last week. You guys have to think like you're going to work for free for 6 months, okay? Another thing is you got to take care of your 10th customer like your first customer. That first customer you have in business, we all know if you've been in business, everyone knows the first customer. You're like you would drive to Minnesota from Texas for $14 to get commission on that first customer because they believed in you. And when you have that and you would do anything for the next 40 years for that person, you got to treat the first customer like the 10th customer like the first customer. And then you have to learn from mistakes and get your business better every day. You got to take chances and learn from it and move on. The next question is, how do I know which is best to, what areas to invest my business in fastest to grow my business? First off, you have to invest back in your business, guys. Most businesses make the mistake of making a profit, taking the profit, and being broke on the first of the next month. You have to continuously put back into your own business, and you have to make different decisions. Going back to what I said a second ago, you're going to make different decisions when you make them based off of what's best for your business more than what you do off of a dollar. If you're thinking about how to cut the dollar next month, then it's going to end short term. You have to think long term, okay? And once again, I put a note on here. Investing in yourself is key. If you don't invest in yourself, you gotta pamper yourself. You gotta enjoy yourself. You gotta, look good. Buy yourself some new shoes. Do whatever the hell it does to bring your motivation up based off of that success. But you gotta put back into your business, and you gotta put back into yourself. And then the thing I put on there is people, process, and products. Again, I think it's very important. Now we're winding down here on these questions. These are simple notes that I put for you guys. The number one business focus that most people miss is that you do not take your current customers and focus on them, and you're always looking for more customers and more revenue. Here's what I would tell you around your businesses. Survey your every customer you have, survey them. Say, what are we good at? What are we bad at? Another thing that I find really interesting for businesses is ask, if there were 3 things that we could offer, what would you want us to offer? That'll blow you away around pulling your own customers. If you take your current customers, and where I'm going with this, guys, most of you that have a stable business have more money in that stable business than you ever know what to do with, and you're too busy out looking for other business instead of checking on the people that you have currently today and their credit cards are on file. You have to think about who you have right now and what services would they love for you to offer that you don't even know because you haven't asked them that. And if you ask them that, I had a guy, one of our best customers ever. We worked for him for 15 years. Then he moved to a high rise. It was like the saddest day of our life that a guy moved to a place with no yard. And I asked myself, asking this guy, I'm saying like, what do you wish we would do more of? And he was like, I wish you would do like maintain my estate, clean my gutters, like have an 800 number for when my wife needs something, she calls y'all and not me. And I'm thinking, damn, that's a pretty damn good business. And then it happened twice and a third time. And at that point, I'm like, listen, they need my phone number. Those 3 people need my phone number, $500 a month. You can call me anytime you want. Tell your wife this is the bat line right here from now on. But you would never know that without asking your current customers, okay? So I think it's very important. If there's one thing that I've taught to every company that we own or we're involved in, it is taking focus on the current customer you have today and focusing on those people. It's a hell of a lot more expensive to go out and get a new customer more than it is to take care of the ones you have today and to sell something else to the ones you have today. It's a huge, huge challenge to go out and get a new customer. Now, those are around the questions I got to ask. These are some bullet points, and then we'll get to some Q&A here. The side items that I wrote down, guys, the reason why you're on this call, and I see one person on this call that has had this conversation with me lately. If you're an employee and you don't have a business, you need a side business. And the number one reason why is for tax benefits. It's becoming tax time, guys, very soon. Here's my challenge to you, and here's my words of advice. If you are in small business or not in a small business and you're an employee, if you're an employee, you work for 50% money, guys. Easy math. Uncle Sam's going to take 30%. You're going to pay property taxes. You're going to pay sales tax of 8.25. You work for 50% money, period. You need to make $100,000 to keep 50 of it. That's how it works if you're trying to do the math. If you're a business owner, your goal every month is to pay 0. Do y'all think that it's a big sham when they say, oh, I want to see the tax returns for Donald Trump? You're damn right. He knows the law, and you take advantage of the law to pay 0. I think it said Amazon's going to pay 0 tax on $19 billion this year. That's what I saw last week. Why? They didn't say they're doing it illegally. They said they're doing it legally because that's the part of growing a business and being an employer. But the number one reason you're on here is to have tax benefits. You will be amazed what you will get out of owning a business from a tax benefit. And the number one thing I would tell you guys is you got to track your expenses. If you're on this call and you're starting a brand new snow cone shop, I don't care what it is, you have to keep and record every expense known to man in order to help you make more money. It's not about the money you make, it's about the money you keep. And that's one of the biggest things when I talk financially. I don't care how many fish you caught, I care how many fish you put in the basket in the boat and we skinned. Okay? It's not about selling $100 million, it's about keeping $100 million. Not selling $100 million and keeping 4. I can tell you there's a lot of people that are busiest, brokest people I've ever known in life. You don't want to be that guy. You want to keep what you work for, and the number one fastest way to do that costs you nothing is through tax advantages. Keep your receipts, every receipt. Keep your documents and be prepared and talk to tax professionals around what is a write-off, all right? That's that. And looking ahead, what I put on here, a couple of side notes. I'm amazed I'm going to get this done in 30 minutes. So for next week, what I'm talking about, I don't know what day it is. Michelle will tell you here in a minute, but in a week or 2 weeks, we will be doing this. I think next week is Thanksgiving. So the next week after that, we'll be doing the 3rd week. And the 3rd week is going to be talking about sales, talking about marketing, and how do you grow your business just really around attention and attraction, because I think that's why where most of us struggle is we built to here and we don't know how to go to here because we're scared to go through that next plateau. That's what's going to happen next week. I put on here to also put any questions that you guys have. If you send them to Michelle or through our Facebook page, we will respond back to those through videos on that mastermind class. I'll answer those individually. But here's one of the biggest things I got, the stories that I'm going to close with right here, and then we'll do Q&A, is I wrote down here, and you're going to hear me talk about this. Michelle's probably tired of hearing about this, but 2 weeks ago we went to the Dallas Cowboy game. We got to travel with the Cowboys on their jet. We went to the game. All that was really cool. I loved the whole experience, but here's what I took away from it. Jerry Jones, we got to spend time listening to guys that have been with Jerry for 30 years. We got to talk with Jerry Jones, hear the stories. Here's my takeaway after 48 hours of craziness on that tour. Is Jerry Jones walked onto the field in New York in MetLife Stadium and shook every SOB's hand in the entire stadium that was on that floor. Anybody on that floor, he shook their hand. I thought that was amazing that the only man in there that didn't need to do it, that's worth over $1 billion, shook everybody's hand and took it personal. The second thing he did is when we started talking and he realized who we were and what we were talking about, his eyes contacted. We were the only ones in the whole place that were there between he and I talking. And the value, what he sells is Jerry Jones believed that if you're a business partner with him, is he wants to raise the value so high of the relationship that there is no reason you would do business anywhere else other than with him, because he's going to bring so much value to you. And that's what I want to ask you guys. And that's what I've started asking myself is, what are we doing to put value to other people's lives around us? And if you will focus on that, the value of yourself will go out when you're not doing a transaction, right? And so I'm going to use, there's one real estate person on here right now, and she'll know that I'm talking to her, is I said to her, to be the best realtor in the United States, the number one focus you have to have is on the consumer around their transaction that they're doing, and fully understand their motive and help them achieve their goals. And that will make you a great person in the real estate business. If you're focused on the transaction and the 3% or 5% or 6% and selling the biggest house, you're going to miss the whole game. But you want to bring value to these people that are around you guys. So I think that was a powerful thing for me, is to watch Jerry get out there, shake hands, how he just took the time to build the business. And he wasn't there talking to me about money. It was about the value, about him bringing what he brings to people that are in relationships with him. So with that being said, Michelle, do you have any, I need to take a breath and take a drink real fast.
Okay, you take a breath and a breather. Y'all send me questions in the chat if you have any. Next week we'll be off, and then December 4th will be the next class, and I'll post in the MasterClass group where you can register for the upcoming class. And I can tell you, out of all the questions we got, the class on December 4th will be his biggest. That was probably 50% of the questions are over sales. I have one.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. You go ahead.
I was going to say, guys, if you have questions, this is why we're on here. Ask the questions. If you have a question, type it into Michelle, send it to her chat, get the question on here. I'll answer whatever the hell you want to talk about. That's why we're on this call.
He's way better off the cuff than he is reading his bullet points. I promise you that.
I hate bullet points. All right, what's your first question?
What do you struggle with, and how do you fix it?
What do I struggle with? Shit,
yeah,
guys,
like what are you not okay? I know we have this talk. So we've had this talk for 20 years. Brian's either a 1 at something or he's a 10 at something. There's no in between. He's either really, really good at it or he's a 1. So what are you a 1 at, and how do you address that as a business owner?
I'm a 1 at singing, and I don't sing. That's how I study that, guys. I would think that, in all seriousness, what I struggle with is the same things that we all struggle with every single day. And here's where I think that, my wife and I have this talk is, you wake up and you say to yourself, well, Angela will say, well, not everybody's like you. Why? Like, I wouldn't recommend being like me, first off, but are you saying that they're not driven? Because I would tell you guys, if you have such large, I don't want to lose track of what I'm trying to say here. What I struggle with is the same thing that all of you struggle with. It's waking up every day to go get motivated to go do blank. And if your blank doesn't outweigh your why, like the action, then you just don't do it. I have to wake up every day and be like, I got to go do this for me. Like it's all about me. It can't get in the way of who else is saying I shouldn't do this or this is on or that's on. So my biggest struggle, I would probably tell you, is balancing. I actually told this to Michelle today. I said, when I'm happiest, I'm actually like all by myself, away from no one, talking to no one, no cell phones, and like in our ranch on a bobcat running over a tree. That's like happiness to me. You could find me there. If that's where I die, that's where I want to end up. But what fulfills me is watching people elevate themselves and be successful. That like makes me happy, like fulfillment wise, right? And I think so the balance and the struggle is, how do you wake up every day and say, get your game face on, go out to work? Because that's hard for all of us. Like, you guys don't know how much it sucks to talk to this black screen right here. That's like, if I can tell y'all I have one thing I struggle with, is talking to this stupid ass screen. Like, I need y'all to be sitting right here in front of me. I can't get over I'm talking to this stupid camera. But we all struggle with little things, and they're things that all of us struggle with. We just make it bigger than what it's about. And if your goals and I guess you say, if your dreams are so big, then all of this little crap, like I don't get derailed by somebody being like, oh, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't even faze me, because my dreams are so big that I can't let their little blah, blah, blah. I just delete their ass. Like,
I think also you're good at delegating. Like you're not so caught up on having it done like exactly how Brian wants it, that you will say, hey, Michelle can spell better than me, I'm going to let her type this up.
You're damn right. The reason why Michelle has a job and she went to college is to hit F7 and make sure my spelling's right. That's been our joke for 20 years. Is, guys, I will tell you, one of the biggest things that I think listening, like these are basic things. I do speak but I listen. Like, I listen when you talk, and I think that people don't listen enough, but we all struggle with the same exact things. It's just how important those things are to each of us. So I would tell you the thing that most people struggle with is that was probably a struggle for me in the beginning. And then I realized Brian's not going to conquer the world. Like, if you can really take delegation and systems, the real key I see this all the time in business. There's a lot of awesome business people on here that, man, you'll kill it, go rock it. You'll feel really great about yourself. You're awesome boss 101. The problem is nobody wants to work for you because you're so awesome that you're awesome. The true key as you grow in maturity and all the business growth is when you realize that Ronald McDonald only could work at one hamburger place, right? Ronald McDonald could only flip hamburgers at one place.
I think he was a clown.
He was a clown, and he could do birthday parties and flip hamburgers. But my point is, he can only duplicate in one place. The true test for yourself, if you really want to grow big in business and impact others, is how many people can you impact and teach to do it the way that you want. I think that's like the massive goal for all of us, is how do I take my business where it is today and leave something to my kid or my spouse or whatever. And that's probably the most proud thing, the thing that I'm most proud of in business is the landscape company that I built today. Michelle will tell you that it ran because I didn't have to be there. That was my goal every freaking day. Like, build it to where it ran the way I wanted it from afar and not sitting there in it. If any of you guys can do that in business, you've accomplished an amazing task, because that means people think like your culture. They think they know, well, Brian would think like this. We need to act like that. This is what the customer should do because it's right. And if you can create that and you can accomplish growing that into your people, that's like the biggest accomplishment you'll ever make in business, is teaching that. And most of us don't teach it enough. Like, take the time to actually teach our people what that means, what's important to us as business owners. So
that's a good answer.
I got lost there for a second. No, go ahead. You got any more questions?
I do. Does Brian set goals by using a dream board? What is his daily goal setting and visions, like getting the jet?
Guy, listen, I always this is where I struggle right here. This is what we talked about earlier, Michelle. I have to teach and talk kind of like do as I say, not as I do type of deal sometimes. This might be one of those. I think the average person needs, like, I think the average person needs a board and needs to have goals on it. And I think that that is very important for most people. Myself, I've always believed, like, if I want something, I'm going to get it today. I can honestly tell you, I've never bought anything, knock on wood, God, thank you, is I've never not bought something ever in my life, period. If I want it, I buy it because I'm going to go out and accomplish whatever the hell I have to because I want it right now. Like, that's why Christmas is so boring to me. My wife's always like that. Brian, why do you get excited? Christmas has been for 40 plus years of my life. It's always been Christmas. Like, it started young and I got it. Like, so I think that's ingrained in like 5 or 10% of us, but I think it's very important. I don't want to lose track of me personally. I don't. Like, I don't have, I think that my dreams are so big on the jet. Like, I've already tried to figure out like how to have a jet. Where does it stay? How much does it cost? How many pilots do you have to have? What are we going to do in it? How are we going to, like, you know, there's got to be a return of investment on it, but I'm already thinking like that. And when I know when I'm ready to get there, if I want it, I'm just going to go buy it. But I think the everyday person, you need to write down your dreams. I think that that's very important to stay driven on, like, what is it that you want? Do you want a new car? You know, and so I got to be careful on how I answer sometimes, because I would tell you, if you want a new car, like if you want the BMW of your life, I would tell you, go buy the son of a bitch. Because when you buy it, you'll figure out how to pay for it. Like, that's like hard lesson 101. And when you lose it, you'll freaking know exactly why you lost it, and you'll work your ass off to not have, like, that's either in you or it's not around that feeling. So I think there's two types of people in this call: people that go out and get their dreams and they make it happen, or people that really need to see it and build to it. So
so what's your daily goal setting? Like, your
wake up, number one. I like to wake up. That's key. My daily goals all start from the night before. So we have multiple companies I run. We have lots of investments. I always look for new investments. So I spend about 30 minutes. So, like, these are goals I have every day. I spend 30 minutes a day looking at new investment opportunities that come to me. So I spend 30 minutes looking at that. And then I'll do 30 minutes of motivation. I'll spend, you know, an hour at lunch if my wife wants to go to lunch. So you have to have family time, business time. You're going to make X amount of calls. I want to call X amount of employees. I got to make sure both Michelle knows who are your employees? Who are people that rely on you? Do they have goals? Do they have missions? Because I think if you are on here and you have employees, the first thing you need to ask yourself is, forget about you. Do your people know with clear direction what they need to do today? Like, we lose the hell out of that part, guys. Like, if you have 5 employees, 50 employees, my question for you is, do they know exactly what they're doing the minute that they get there until the minute that they go to bed? If you got ice cream, you can come in. So my daughter just got her with some ice cream. So
Brindley, everybody say hi to Brindley.
Nothing better than a sick daughter bringing some Sunday McDonald's ice cream here for you.
You got fixed up for us.
So
and
clear direction, I don't want to finish that real fast. Clear direction around employees is massive, guys. If you don't have clear direction for all your employees with detailed, like, they don't clearly understand what you want of them, they're always going to highly disappoint you. Always. Like, they're never going to fulfill what you want if they don't even know. And I think most of us we take for granted what we want for people. My wife calls that, here, shut that door. My wife calls that being an asshole, because I'm very direct about what I want. I call that, I want you to know what I'm grading you on today. So stop interrupting me.
I'm sorry, guys. They're on here to listen to what's in my brain.
A guy once told me in a restaurant business that everybody can see. A man once told me in a restaurant, he said, listen, Brian, he grabbed a busser and he said, listen, if you don't like the way that table is cleaned, you teach him right now to clean the table the way you want him to clean it, and he'll clean it the rest of his life the right way. And that's always stuck with me. The salt goes on the right, the pepper goes on the left, the pink goes in the front, the sweet and low goes on the left. And so I taught every busser like that for the rest of my life. Every table looked the same because I taught it to them on day one. And I took the time, what was important for me to teach them, I took the time to actually do that. And I think that's so important. Whatever you do in your business, whatever's important to you every day, does every employee know it? Do you take the time to educate every employee, to the lowest employee, what's important to you? That will help turn your business around. That creates the environment that you want within your company and the culture that you want to create in people.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say it's just like McDonald's. Everything is automated, and that's how it was. You know, at when I worked for him at the landscape company, it was very small, and then it exploded. So I had everything in my head how I did everything, and he's like, "No, I want you to write down like step 1, step 2, step 3, like." Every little thing, things you don't even think about because you're doing them every day. Sally, when she comes in, she's not going to know how to answer your emails and where to file them and all that. So we had like a binder that had our systems step by step of what to do. So everything was streamlined.
If you guys are ever looking at selling a business, the first thing that a smart business owner will do, a buyer, is they're going to ask you where your systems are. If your systems, and listen, guys, if you're building a business, the number one thing you should be looking for is how to sell the business. Because every business is built, every business grows, every business goes down to death, or it's built to be sold at the maximum time. Every business is built to be sold, period. And if it's built to be sold, you have to have systems in place that make the transfer easy in that transaction. And the first thing that'll scare an educated consumer, a buyer of a business, will be no systems and it's all in your head. So you got to start with those systems and getting them into place before that time happens. You have another question, Michelle?
Nope. Does anybody have anything? Send it.
If you don't, I'm going to kill this Sunday right here. I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to wake up tomorrow with my goals and crush another Sunday.
So if y'all have anything, I'm making him get better about doing live videos, if y'all have noticed that. He really hates it because he has to really talk to a black screen then. But if y'all have any questions or anything, email it, Brian@briangasperson.com. That's him directly. Or put it on that MasterClass page, and he's going to start doing like 1-minute blips where he answers questions for people.
All right, so if that's all we got, I'm going to recap. Make sure that you hold it highly important to one-touch things. One touch. Emails, phone, text message, answer the phone. That is huge. Being available is huge. Answering the phone and talking to people is huge. Number one thing service companies get wrong: don't answer their phone, don't speak English. Two things, easy. 90% of American companies forget that. Okay? Got to answer the phone, got to speak English. The second thing is, when you get in your business, identify your systems, identify what you spend time doing, identify where you're weak. And if you identify those things, then you find out how to put systems into place to help your business do things right when you're not there. Another thing, teach your culture down into your business, all the way down the business. Teach your culture all the way down. Take the time to teach the culture to people in your business. Make sure your people know what they're doing. They have clear direction. They know exactly their goals. They know what they're set out to do every day. If your people in your business don't have goals, so that's a great example earlier talking about goals. If your salespeople do not have goals, do not be disappointed in the sales of zero. Because if they don't have goals, they're going to get zero because they've achieved the goal that was set by you. You have to have goals for your salespeople, period. Okay? Then they need to be defined. And if people need help getting to those goals, you got to work with them on their individual ways to get to those goals. Around sales, don't forget your warm market. Don't forget your cold market. Take advantage of your current customers. Poll them. Ask them what else you can do to provide services to them. Ask them what you can do to provide better services for what you currently do. That's an easy one. Don't take it for granted. It's a competitive ass market out there in the world today, guys. Customers that you think are happy, that you haven't asked if they're happy for, like, listen, if you're married, don't ask your spouse how they're doing for like 2 years and see how it works out for you. Your customers are the exact same way. If you don't ask your spouse how the hell they're doing, like if you're a husband, you need to be doing it daily. And if, like, that's how it works. But why do we get to customers and we don't ask them for like a year? We're like, we haven't heard from you in a year. I thought everything was awesome. No, It's because I've been shopping your ass. That's why that's why it's been quiet for a year. So you guys have to have pulse on your current customer. I did forget to talk about this around customers. I used to say at Gasperson, if you don't have a current pulse as an account manager on every customer in your business, you failed, which means if the customer loves you, you ought to know. If the customer hates you, you ought to know. If you're going to get fired, you should have been telling me about it for 3 weeks. Brian, this person's going to fire us. We're failing at this part of our business. That means you have the pulse on the customer. Challenge your people in your business to have a pulse on the customer and focus on that one thing. You will be amazed at how your business changes around retention, guys. If your account managers, salespeople do not understand their customers, it's failure all over. I mean, you're just going to fail constantly. Okay.
I have another question.
And then really break down, just to recap, if you're a brand new entrepreneur, if you're a brand new business owner, I can't explain to you enough that listen, that 16-year-old right there that just walked up with this Sunday, she would have sold it to me if y'all wouldn't have been on this video, in this screen right now. She knows the importance of running a business right now. She has to run the business for tax advantage reasons. I don't care if she wants to be an attorney. You got to have side hustle, because that's where all the tax advantages come in. I can't tell you guys enough to start keeping your receipts, start tracking your mileage, start getting CPA advice. If you're doing TurboTax, guys, it's 2020 or 19. You need a paid professional to deal with your freaking taxes, man. I gave that up in like 7th grade. No more TurboTax. No more Quicken. I don't even know if that exists anymore. You guys have to hire professionals to do your taxes, period. If not, don't come back on this call. If you don't hire a paid professional, don't come back on this call.
Oh my God. Okay.
If you got one more question, let's get off.
I do. It's to me though.
Good. Answer them and we'll talk about else later.
It says, what? It says, what has Brian done over the past 20 years to earn your loyalty? I'm wondering how to acquire and retain loyalty. He's very, and this is with
this is hard for Michelle to answer, guys.
No, it isn't. So no, you're also very good at retaining all of your employees. Like the turnover at the landscape company was nil. We had people there longer than I was. Like it was, and it was, I think it was when I first started, he was very honest about your family comes first, period. Family comes first. Second, it's going to be, I'm not going to train you and have you quit. Like I'm going to invest in you. So you're going to have to invest in me. And that stuck with me. And I grew up a lot.
Michelle sent me her second paycheck yesterday that she found in her box, and I put a budget on it for her, and it was like $400 a month she had to live on. I would tell you this around hiring guys.
I would say he's a great boss because he does treat you like a person. Like the guys on the landscape crews, if they needed to get home to their sick wife, a plane ticket was bought. I was a single mom, and he actually, I don't know if you remember this or not. I'm sure you do. You remember everything. But that 16-year-old, he took the keys to my car and took him and her, she was probably 4, and he went and bought me a new set of tires. Do you remember that?
Of course. I bought everything. It was my credit card.
He took because he knew I needed, just stuff like that. Little stuff like that goes a long way. Like it's not much out of his pocket, but something like that. And he's impacting his daughter, teaching her how to do that type of deal.
Guys, around employees, I think employees, people, processes, right? People, processes, and products. People, meaning customers and employees, are the hands down the most valuable asset you'll ever have in your businesses. I still talk to my people today, all the crew leaders. at our old landscape company. They still text message me. I still talk to them. I have 3 generations of guys that work there, grandfathers, fathers, and kids, multiple kids. I treat people like they're human. Like I talk to everyone like that, whether it's a waiter in a restaurant or an employee. I want people to have obtainable goals. I want them to be put in the right position to make the most money they can within their reason. I want them to be successful with my support. You've got to be honest with people. You got to treat people just like they're humans. And I think that that's always a necessity. I'm available. I'm always available for every employee, every customer, always available. I think a lot of us get a little bit of success and we're unavailable we think that we're freaking awesome. And that just doesn't set well with me. I don't care that you're awesome. If you want my business, get your ass out here and talk to me. Is how I look at all businesses. So, I think that that's how you treat people. And it just comes through when you talk to your employees like that. Listen, if you're losing employees every day and you're losing customers all the time, ask yourself why. Like I know some people that I'm working with currently that have a lot of turnover. And it's not always because they're terrible. Like there's typically where there's smoke, there's fire. And if you have that in parts of your life that, I remember a football fan, I remember Bill, what was his name? Damn big guy, Bill Parcells, said for the Cowboys, he said, son, I don't know if you know this, but you don't ever think you're in trouble, but it sure the hell follows you around a lot. Meaning, you don't think you're in trouble, but you're in trouble in the news like every week. It's not the news following you. It's you. Like you have the problem. And we have to sometimes remember that in business. If our customers fire us all the time for whatever reason, like you need to realize, like, why did they fire me? And if an employee quits, I held that probably, I would tell you that for me, 2 things were neck and neck. An employee quitting me was probably number 1, because I was always going to fire your ass first. Like if it needed to be done, I was going to get to you first. But if I didn't know it was coming and I lost you, that was like, I couldn't sleep with that. I would lose months of sleep over losing a good employee because I really wanted to know. And I've met many of employees in 7-Eleven parking lot and had a 4-hour conversation and negotiated to win that damn guy back. I remember being on a Thanksgiving one time. I told Angela, I'm leaving. I got to go meet this guy. Can't lose this guy. He brings us freaking $500,000 a year in a truck. That guy's staying. Christmas will wait. Thanksgiving will wait. So you have to have that priority for your employees. Customers, same way. If you have customers and you let that guard down on your customers, I would just tell you guys, if you wake up tomorrow and you go in and you treat every customer like it's $1 million account like today, your business will change. Your job's easier. You're happier. You will have more fun. And at the end of the day, you will profit more if you just treat people like that, because it doesn't matter. Like all of y'all on this screen, I don't know who has $1 million for me. I know somebody does, but it doesn't bother me. I'm going to treat you all exactly the same. We're going to figure out how to get there based on value of how we treat each other. And that's how you got to treat your customers. And it's how you got to treat your business or your employees. Employees are first. And I talked about this last week, but hire people. If you're not good at something, I remember hiring that first guy. Actually, Brahms parking lot was my first employee. I hired the dude at the payphone. It was like $19.99. I'm like, how much you pay? He's like, oh, $80 an hour. And I'm like, man, I don't even speak Spanish yet, bro. We got it. Like, how much is that? $8. Okay. You got a driver's license? Yes. How many yards can you mow? 40 a day. You're my guy. The next guy I hired, he's like, 25 an hour. I'm like, what? That dude's $8. And come to find out, both the $8 and the $25 hour, I should have paid them both $50 an hour because they're both amazing. You have to go through that and learn that and get the right people in your business that'll change your life. So, all right, that's it. I want to be under 9 o'clock. It's 8:58. I appreciate everybody being on here. Once again, this is just for you guys to get value. I get asked questions all the time around business. I like to do these platforms. It saves me a hell of a lot of time on doing it with 25, 30 people at a time versus one-on-one. We're going to do 2 more. If you follow the Masterminds on Facebook page, that's where we're at. Share us, like us, check out briangasperson.com. And if any of you want to have side conversations, more than happy to reach out to me, either on my cell phone or through Michelle. So that's it. I'm going to go crush the rest of this Sunday. Everybody have a great night. Love you all.